Okay, hello, my friends. My name is Darren Gerdes. I'm just a professor trying to provide context for you in the war in Ukraine. So it is Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. We're going to start with the battlefield losses for the Russians. 1,400 Russians off the battlefield. It's about where it's been for the last few days. Higher than the average for the year, lower than what it's been over the last month or two. Two tanks off the battlefield, 20 armored fighting vehicles, 3 artillery systems, 36 vehicles and fuel tanks. Now, I don't have Andrew Perpetua's list that hasn't come out yet as I'm recording, but the Russian army hit a private clinic in Zaporizhzhia, injuring 4 people. According to local authorities, the attack destroyed the clinic, damaged nearby buildings. And then that 4, actually, when we look at a later article, the death toll and the Russian attack on the Zaporizhzhia clinic increased to 8. So that's problematic. And then there was more of a Russian strike in Zaporizhzhia. The Russian strike on the center of Zaporizhzhia. The rescue operation has been going on now for 19 hours from yesterday. There are still people under the rubble. 7 people were killed, 22 more injured, a 5-year-old girl among them, 20 residential buildings. 3 non-residential buildings were damaged. So the hits just kept coming there in Zaporizhzhia. Meanwhile, last night, Tanagorod in Rostov Oblast faced an overnight missile attack targeting the Aviation Scientific and Technical Complex. The drone strikes reportedly burned 14 vehicles in the parking lot as well as damaged the infrastructure there. And then we saw the first use of this new missile that Zelensky was just talking about. It's a big fire explosion on the Transient Refinery in Bryansk, Russia. And so you see a still of this image of what that looks like. If we zoom out a little bit, you can see it a little bit more effectively. The sky is not supposed to look like that. Ukraine's new Peklo cruise missiles delivered on their name as they lit up the night sky in Bryansk, destroying an oil depot on their debut flight. So these apparently work fairly well. I don't know if it's a softer target that doesn't have air defense or just what, but it did what it was supposed to do when it got there. Okay, Russian forces captured 702 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory in November. That's almost 5 times more than all the gains earlier in 2023. That's a lot of real estate comparatively to what was going on in 2023. It's not a lot in the big picture, but it feels like, wow, the Russians just keep coming, and they do keep coming, and they keep getting slaughtered in the process, and it's bad on both sides for different reasons. Okay, in 2024, they seized 2,800 square kilometers. That's 1,081 square miles, or 0.46 of 1%, like not a full 1%, but 0.46 of 1% of Ukraine, and now control 18% of Ukraine. So they've got less than half of 1% in 2024 of the square miles in Ukraine, if that makes sense. Okay, so it's just they just keep coming, but they're losing a lot of people in the process. Okay, in 2024, Russia has also executed at least 109 Ukrainian prisoners of war, and the authorities continue to receive reports of more executions, more mistreatment of POWs. Most of the POWs that have returned report that they have been abused in significant ways. Okay, let's turn our attention to what's going on the battlefield now. The Kursk region in the area of responsibility of the 80th Halcyon Separate Air Assault Brigade. About 3,000 Russian soldiers have been killed and more than 150 captured over 4 months. As of today, Ukrainian defenders are managing to hold the positions that they occupied earlier. It's fairly tenuous in Kursk, but they're still holding on largely. Putin removed the governor of Kursk after military setbacks. In a single month, Ukrainian forces neutralized 37 mechanized Russian assault attempts. Yeah, I mean, it's just with drone warfare, it's just brutal to be doing what they were doing before drone warfare with impunity if they had the armor and the other side didn't. Okay, let's look at, just go through where the assaults are high and where they're low. We'll start from low to high. Bakhmut front, 2 attacks. Kherson, 3 enemy attacks. Kharkiv direction, 7 enemy attacks. Zaporizhzhia region, 7 times they attacked. Now, this is all, generally speaking, Russia attacking Ukraine. Horlivka, 9 times. Kupiansk direction, 11 times. Ramika direction, 16 assaults. Lyman direction, 17 times. Kharkiv direction, 44 times. And Pokrovsk, 52 attacks. And so, of course, Pokrovsk and Kharkiv have been the epicenter of what's going on here. Okay, the Battle of Pokrovsk. I saw this it showed what was going on in Pokrovsk. The Battle of Pokrovsk became the biggest battle of this war, but it also became one of the largest battles in history in terms of the number of armored vehicles lost. Like if you compare this against, like, it's not like the Battle of Kursk or Stalingrad or even the Gulf War, but it is up there with Battle of El Alamein. And so it's up there. I mean, they're actually losing a lot of things. Losses of the Russian army: 580 tanks lost, 1,220 armored vehicles, 90 plus artillery systems, greater than 150,000 Russian soldiers lost trying to take Pokrovsk. Okay, so that's how significant this is. Okay. Let's turn to some political news. Emmanuel Macron reportedly has a plan for a potential European peacekeeping mission in Ukraine, which could serve as a safeguard against new Russian attack. He intends to consult with Poland, so he's there right now. He may discuss the creation of a peacekeeping force of 40,000 troops during his visit to Poland on December 12th. That is tomorrow. Okay, U.S. approves another $266 million support package for Ukraine's F-16 fleet. $266 million package will enhance Ukraine's ability to conduct self-defense and regional security missions. So that's what's happening there. Ukraine has funds and weapons to fight through mid-2025, the finance minister says. So if you're worried about, oh no, what's going to happen on January 20th, nothing's going to happen on January 20th. I mean, Trump never talks for precision. Let's just understand that. And so he's saying on the first day, okay, it's going to take a while. Let's say it was bad terms and Ukraine decided to fight on anyway. They can fight at least through July or so. And then by that point, they can already have had more weapons in the pipeline from Europe funding whatever's going on being created in Ukraine itself. That's what the beauty of the drones, the artillery, the rockets that are homegrown. That's what that does. It provides them that extra security just in case. As the U.S. presidential transition approaches, Ukraine's leadership remains confident in its ability to sustain military operations at least until July 2025. And then if they're paying attention and something does go wrong, by that point, they can sustain to the end of the year if they get enough other material in the pipeline. Okay, Ukrainian intelligence played a role in the recent Syrian rebel victory in Damascus. Wait, why are they in Damascus? Why aren't they just staying put? The fight is in Ukraine. Wait a minute. Syria was such a force multiplier. Like, they got so much in taking down Russia's capacity to be able to do what Russia does from very little investment. Supplying drones and operators to help topple Bashar al-Assad, according to the Washington Post. Ukraine's covert operations highlight how Kyiv is taking its fight against Russians' influence global. Right? I'm surprised they haven't attacked Kaliningrad yet. I'm wondering why that hasn't been a thing. Before their offensive in Syria, fighters from the group HTS reportedly received around 150 FPV drones and 20 experienced operators from Ukrainian intelligence. So they were helping the Syrians in this process. The publication notes that this assistance played a modest role in undermining Assad's regime. However, it was significant within Ukraine's broader efforts to target Russian operations in the Middle East and Africa and inside Russia itself. So by doing this, they helped cripple Russia in a different way, and that's going to help the overall cause for Ukraine. Now, Ukrainian drone warfare pioneers Magyar Birds to expand threefold. Okay, Ukraine's elite drone regiment, famed for devastating strikes on Russian forces, upgrades to a full-fledged brigade. So that's good. That drone warfare is going to continue, and that'll be a force multiplier for Ukraine. In the 11 months of 2024, the Ministry of Defense delivered over 1.2 million drones to the defense forces, 40,000 reconnaissance multi-rotor drones, 5,000 reconnaissance fixed wings UAVs, 6,000 deep strike drones, 2,000 reusable attack UAVs, 5,000 reusable FPV drones, 1.1 million kamikaze drones. Wow. By the end of the year, another 100,000 drones are planned for delivery. They can't get enough of these things because it's just changing the rules of the game. Okay, drone wars. Ukrainian FPV destroys a Russian fiber optic controlled drone. Here's the video. This is the first ever footage that shows a Ukrainian UAV destroying its Russian unjammable fiber optic counterpart. And so it sees it in its scope. If you're listening to this rather than watching it, it sees it, it's tracking it, it just missed it, and it turns around. Now the drone can see it, so it has to hit it quick, and going, and boom, there it is. All right. By the way, if you were just listening to this on Spotify, thank you for being out there on Spotify. Thank you also. I said yesterday, 73 of you have left a rating on Spotify on Professor Gerdes Explains. It's now up to 101. That will help spread that message. And so somebody contacted me back and said, I was one of the 73. If you're one of the 101, thank you so much. I do appreciate this. Last little bit. This is Shapulka, a gentle and brave combat dog. She was rescued in Donetsk region by the soldiers of the 116th Brigade of the Territorial Defense Forces. Since then, she's become a loyal friend and a helper to the service members. So they don't have combat mosquitoes, but they do have combat dogs. That's all that I have right now. I'll be back with a special and my 3 big stories, which looks like 5 big stories tonight. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.